Hello, my name's Vip Vipperman, and I'm excited to be back in the studio today. I can't wait for you listeners to hear this conversation. We're here at the Back in the Bold podcast, where we interview incredible entrepreneurs that are boldly doing challenging things and solving big problems. Today, we have one of my favorite guests, Quinn Taber, out of California. He's going to be sharing with us a little bit about the work that they do at Immerse and let us know some of the exciting things that have been happening in this season. Quinn, so delighted to have you with us today, man.
Yes, thanks, Vip. Honored to be here.
Well, dude, I've been following y'all's story for 5 or more years. Have seen it, from an early startup raising some of the first money to where you guys are today, a darling in the industry. And so just excited to hear some of the progress that's been happening, where you guys are seeing impact today, and what the future looks like for Immerse. But before we do, catch us up. Tell us, for those people who've never heard the Immerse story or don't know who Quinn Taber is, just give us a little bit of your background.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Thanks, Vip. I think, honestly, the story starts, if we were to go all the way back, my parents have worked in both international development and Christian ministry in places like the Middle East and Africa for 40 years. So I actually grew up out there. I then came back for high school and college, studied things like finance and international development, moved back to the Middle East as an adult, worked for a really large charitable foundation, faith-based. I traveled to 50 countries over the course of 3 years. It was wild. It was awesome. I started off living in kind of the expat community in a city called Beirut, just north of Israel in Lebanon. But then pretty quickly was wait, if I'm going to be here for a couple of years, I didn't move out here to hang out with a bunch of Americans and Germans and Dutch guys. I came out here to hang out with Middle Easterners. So I moved into the refugee slum, lived with 6 Syrian refugees for the better part of 3 years. I learned Arabic through full immersion. And it was through that journey that I both caught the vision for how language instruction or English learning is the key that unlocks access to visas and higher education and employment, at every level. If you can teach someone English, you will change their life forever. That caught my vision from a impact lens, but at the same time that I was learning Arabic through immersion by doing real things with real people, but all focused on the Arabic language. My best bud was really catching vision for virtual reality and also the idea of immersion. So we start Skyping back in this is now 2016. It's when Meta was here, Facebook was coming out with the first headsets. I'll now fast forward. This is where I'll just hit the plot in the key milestones in 30 seconds. We went in together, fundraised from that family office, and then 3 others. And that was the first 2 million. After 2 years of grinding, Meta named us their preferred partner for education in the metaverse. That meant quite a few major grants, so non-dilutive free capital for research and marketing, press, all the big publicity events. From there, we raised our Series A. And then now for the last 2 years, I guess 3, yes, we still have the top ranked. We've been named the top VR education company at the last 2 big VR awards, which is kind of our Oscars. So we're kind of it. We're one of them. But at the same time, as VR continues to kind of go through its fits and starts, like most markets, a lot of our revenue in the last 2 years has actually come primarily from B2B sales, either big enterprises that need English for their staff, Microsoft being one, PwC, Bosch in Mexico. We teach a ton of their employees English. And while a portion of that is VR, our desktop and mobile app are also thankfully really compelling, have all the same efficacy. So it's just kind of opened us up to do way more. And then the last one that I'll give you the little nugget and then we can talk way more is obviously, like everybody else, we have invested nearly all of our time into AI for the last 2 years. So instead of the original vision, which was just, all right, if I'm a learner and I want to learn French, I want to be in the virtual Paris talking to a real life teacher, which we still have, on the Champs-Elysees. I want to be able to duck into the bakery and practice ordering a croissant in French or a café de lait. How cool is that? But now the experience of being able to do that with a live teacher, or to duck into that same bakery in this whole virtual world that we've built and be able to practice with the chef who's an AI tutor, or the waitress who's an AI tutor, or jump in a taxi with an AI tutor around the clock, whenever you want, that's curated to your learning goals, your strengths and weaknesses. That's really kind of become our secret sauce. So anyway, that's the overview.
That's awesome. What a journey. I mean, from refugee camps to, Silicon Valley and LA centric like tech scene. It's a huge transformation. And yet the same vision that started the conversation carried you through it. And that is like caring for these folks that needed to learn a language to have a difference, make a difference in their life. And the power of language to transform things. I have learned 5 languages in my career, just taken, through school and different things. I always say some people can layer languages, like the Europeans, they just layer one on top of the other and top of the other in their brain. My brain, unfortunately, is not that type. It was one where every time one came in the one ear, it blew out the other. And so the last language I learned, Chinese, is the one that stuck in this season, which is kind of funny. But and I just know the value of immersion and was always amazed that you guys in a VR situation were able to set up that opportunity where someone picks up a plate and says the word for plate in the language instead of just, as opposed to just memorizing a flashcard, looking at the word, on a page and stuff like that. And so, interesting that you guys chose VR to do that. So you're sitting in a refugee camp. This is now 10 years ago now. How did you get the vision for VR being the solution for that?
Yeah, exactly. I think I always enjoy trying to, deeply, kind of obsessively study where are the trends going? And then how do you skate to where that hockey puck will be in 3 to 5 years? 2016, it looked really unequivocal that the hockey puck was going to be VR. The rate of growth from 2016 to 2020 was actually kind of exactly what we expected. That we are undeniably a little bit in this plateau where there's there's going to be 2 more kick butt headsets that come out next year. That'll be that next kind of moment where everyone will wake up and be like, oh my gosh, wait, is VR back? And it's well, that's happened 5 times in 10 years. But I think the core underpinning thesis that I still completely buy into is whether you define things like the metaverse or virtual world, however you define that, is it VR? Can you do it on your phone? Everyone in my sector, every conference, they end up just kind of debating the terminology. Just have we reached AGI? You hear that in all the podcasts. What I would say is, oh, no, duh. Yes, we have. Look at the 60 million Roblox users every day, daily active users. Look at the 20 million Fortnite users. Look at the Minecraft users. Yes, that's maybe for the age 10 to 25. But then zoom out of as that generation enters the workforce, has discretionary income, you're looking at an entire generation that is not only digitally native, I would call it virtual world native. They're used to their avatar navigating in a virtual location, in community, and engaging on really just poignant experiences. So anyway, I think that thesis I'm still totally bought in on.
Yeah.
Regardless of mobile, desktop, or VR. And that's
Gotcha.
right where we're trying to kind of play king of the hill and have a commanding lead on.
Yeah, absolutely. You've enabled, whether it was VR or now AI, you've learned to let the technology tech enable what you wanted to accomplish, which was immersing people and learning language.
Correct.
Which is awesome. And I love that you guys are leveraging AI so much these days. As you said, it's one thing to be on one of those programs where it's you can get a teacher a certain many hours a day to do in-person one-on-one tutoring or something like that. Mm-hmm. But it's very different to be able to do 24/7. 10 million people could be doing it at the same time using AI, which is tremendous. And to be fair, I still remember sitting in an English, in a Chinese language class one time, one-on-one with a tutor. I was so exhausted from the night before, I actually fell asleep in the class. I don't pride myself on that moment. I'm embarrassed looking back on it. But we're one-on-one in a room, and I'm not even awake because it was so boring and I was so tired. But there was only that 1 hour, and you'd paid so much money for that 1 hour. And so, when it was over, it was over. And the ability to just, you wake back up and you're like, okay, wait a minute. So you guys somebody who's using your product can pick up right where they left off, learning in real time at any point in time in the day. And I think that's incredible. So let's see. One of the things I got to ask, what is the language that you've had the most fun learning through Immerse?
I know, right? So I kind of just like you, my journey. Yes, I took some like Spanish in high school, French. Arabic is still the one that I'm proudest of how far I got. Because just like Mandarin, I'm like, I now know all the industry terms. Like within the Foreign Service Institute's ranking of language complexity, it's Mandarin and Arabic that are like jostling for the hardest language, plus Korean. So the fact that you and I know I invested 2,500 hours into Arabic learning. Super proud of that. Now in Immerse, I still really enjoy, like I'll be in bed. My kid's finally asleep. I'm tired from the day. I'll throw on a VR headset and practice my French.
Yeah,
I'm intermediate. Like it's within like all the fancy terminology. I'm a B2 French learner, which means like upper intermediate. But we just launched Portuguese. I don't know Portuguese from Adam. I've never been to Brazil. Like I got nothing.
Yeah.
And yet the fact that as a like level 0 learner, meaning no context, I've actually really enjoyed my rate of progress. Like I'm kind of I like my productivity hacks and seeing my efficiency. I'm like, I am actually learning Portuguese really quickly in the app that we built. Like this is as cool as it gets. So
that's awesome. And supposedly 6 times faster, right? Like y'all have done a lot of research. Tell me a little bit about that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. This is another one of those things that I'm like kind of uniquely proud of. Most of the, yes, like ed tech products, but definitely in the whole linguistic space, they'll go 4 or 5 years before they even invest in like the first research partnership, which then takes 6 to 12 months to complete and then get published in a scientific journal, which is like, okay, that gets over the bar. It's credible. It's efficacious. We started investing in year 2, which now fast forward all these years later, we've had 35 partner universities conduct third-party research on Immerse, meaning like we aren't skewing the results or like making it look good. It's all them. It's completely unbiased, which is culminated in north of 50 research publications proving that Immerse is at minimum 3 times faster. That's the lowest we've ever done. And that's compared to Duolingo, compared to Rosetta Stone, definitely compared to your high school Spanish class. And we've had certain cohorts where they do like an intensive, where they'll really double down. We had a cohort in Japan, this got published a couple months ago, that they had the control group, right? Like it is all the scientific method. Like we were the hypotheses, the variable group, the control group that just did normal English classes at a whiteboard. They did a standardized test before and after. We beat the control group by 9x, 900%.
Wow.
So anyway, that's the stuff that I really geek out on.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, and especially when it's so important. So talk to me, obviously you mentioned like Arabic, you mentioned like you've enjoyed learning French and Portuguese, some of those different languages, but by far, which language is the most used for Immerse? I mean, because you mentioned in the beginning, refugees
English.
And different populations of people trying to learn English.
Oh, it's all English. Totally. Okay. Well, and I'll connect like 2 thoughts that I think are the things I'm thinking the most about right now. In the US, it's Spanish. But in the US, most folks treat language learning kind of like a hobby. Like think of your neighbors or like friends from church. It's like, oh yeah, I want to Duolingo before my trip to Cabo. It's like, okay, cool. You're probably going to do like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You go to anywhere else on earth, just like you, Vip, spending time in China or me in the Middle East. English isn't a hobby. It is like a core lever to every part of their economic opportunity in life.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, that just changes the game. How much can I charge my neighbor to learn Spanish? They're like, oh, I'll do a $20 a month subscription for 2 months. You go to China, all the numbers are like 10 to 100x higher. Because the importance is there. It like I've already said, it unlocks ultimately all economic opportunity. So how it like really boils down for us right now, where we're seeing the most success, yes, It's individuals in China, Japan, Korea, Brazil, Mexico signing up as as D2C subscriptions, monthly subscriptions.
Right.
But it's going to Microsoft and saying, "Hey, you have 1,000 workers just in your data warehouse division in Seoul, Korea, none of which are testing any kind of English like proficiency. Here's a contract where we will upskill them better, faster, more efficaciously, but our AI will study and curate each individual's English journey around each individual's strengths and weaknesses, but also you, Microsoft, your corporate objectives and the industry nuance they need to complete their job well."
Wow.
That's the pitch that I am obsessed with giving right now, because we win all we have a really high close rate. Because who else can say, so you're telling me, Microsoft, that my learners can learn in a virtual data warehouse and be trained for the exact job that I need them to accomplish, where they're not just learning general English, they're learning English around our niche industry sector.
Yeah.
That's the home run right now. That we're scaling that.
Oh, dude, I love it. I remember joking when we were learning like Chinese. I used to be able to speak really well in Chinese about cabinets, and people are like, "Why do you know?" But I never learned anything about cars. And they're like, "How did you learn a language you don't know about this issue and you do know that?" Well, it's because we had to replace our cabinets because they had mold in them in China, and so we learned every single word in that space to learn about it. But I never had a car. We always rode the bus or rode the subway or something like that. And so I never learned like steering wheel and those kind of things, because you typically learn language around like when you're the things that you do. Right. And so are the things that you use. So really cool that AI is enabling you guys to take it to the whole next level. So talk to me, one of the things that you've mentioned is that y'all pivoted some, not like pivoting away from certain things per se, but just pivot into new technologies, pivot into new opportunities, going to the desktop and not just the headset. Talk to me about 2 or 3 of the lessons that you've learned that have made a huge impact as an entrepreneur.
Totally. I know. Oh, I've got more than 2 to 3. The one that probably rings most true for me right now is honestly like how to lead through, whether you call it volatility or just a really rapidly evolving sector.
Okay.
Like think about like AI. We spent all this time researching AI 4 years ago, and everyone we talked to said it's too early. And exactly 9 months later, there's the ChatGPT moment. And then like the whole narrative flipped on its head. And I'm like, how does this industry move so fast? So I think of the hundreds of learnings, the one that I spend a lot of time on, and like we've got our big company retreat, we're going to fly in like 60 people, is how can I constantly remind, whether it's the most junior engineer all the way up to like some senior sales executive, that our vision and mission has never wavered. It goes right back into day one for me when I was living in the Syrian refugee camp. It's all about ultimately cultivating human connection. And then everything that I've already said on this call. Like, how do we cultivate then all the human flourishing and economic empowerment through efficacious, virtual, like simulated language that no one else is doing? Because then everything after that, once the team is like, oh, wait, yeah, that hasn't changed. It's tactics. It's go to market. It's I've actually strayed away from even using the word, not that it's a problem, pivoting, because it's been expansion.
Nice.
I can't actually think of a time that we've ever had to shut down a product offering or a go-to-market motion. 3 years ago, we were VR consumer subscriptions. Today, almost all of our scaling, like really excitingly scaling revenue, is enterprise on desktop and mobile.
Wow.
Right? That's you could call that a massive pivot.
Yeah.
But the interesting element is that our VR business is still growing at a really healthy clip, and it's all subsidized by Meta. It's free ads.
Nice.
Our consumer subscription, same thing. It's still growing at what VCs call, hey, that's still really healthy growth. But the hard part for us was the VR market wasn't growing fast enough under us.
Gotcha.
For us to achieve the kind of venture outcomes that we knew we needed to achieve that like 3 to 5x growth year over year.
Yeah.
So it's expansion. We still have individuals and small teams focused on those early business models that are doing well.
Yeah.
But now it's about balancing, hey, here's how we got here. Here's how we're going to continue to cultivate that. Because for when the next VR headset releases, we're going to have a tidal wave of new growth. But that's out of our power. So we have to be really tactical about how we're allocating resources until then.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, that's the role of an entrepreneur, is to see the market, to be scrappy about their resources, to know where to invest and where to pull back from, and to go after those opportunities and take bold risks. Sometimes they say the biggest risk is not jumping, right? Because sometimes, as you said, when you saw, the AI coming, jumping in early and getting a vision for what could be. All right. So talk to me a little bit about one of the real stories. A lot of people think in this space, and we love at Eagle, just impacting human lives for good, right? Forging human flourishing. So can you tell me 1 to 2 stories of a couple of the people that have used your products, whose lives have been transformed?
Totally. Yes, of course. I'll map the stories kind of to our timeline, which in the early days, this is like pre-COVID. So it feels like a lifetime ago. So much has changed since then. Probably the one that emotionally moved me the most early, and anyone that has an immigrant parent or in-law, you just immediately know exactly where I'm going, which is for the number of friends where they have an in-law that barely speaks English, right? It's like, my wife's mom, I can't communicate with. We had that exact learner. And I did customer interviews myself. This is like so long ago. And to track the emotional catharsis and fulfillment as this white American male could finally speak to the Spanish speaking mother-in-law was actually, it brought me to tears seeing that evolution. It was so cool. So that's one really just, it's like a common human experience for folks that have parents that are immigrants. I think the next one is I'll bounce around. The one just from, I think I saw this a month ago in we use Basecamp, it's like Slack. Our internal thread was a customer story on the enterprise side, because sometimes even our staff, once you're selling to enterprise, it feels a little more transactional and just cold. And you're like, the end learner is the same. Someone that needs English for economic flourishing. Human flourishing. But the buyer is it's Microsoft. It's a really big entity. But Bosch, we had a learner that in 3 months could not conduct the most bare bones business meeting in English. 3 months later, I watched the video of this person telling the story and their boss about how within 3 months, which is actually mind-bogglingly fast.
Yeah, no kidding.
He conducted an entire sales presentation, start to finish, in front of, I'm pretty sure it was a vendor with a number of other of his teammates on the call. They were jaw-dropped, spellbound. That was awesome. A miracle. You didn't know English 3 months ago. Last one that I'm going to do, just because it's so fun, is most folks, when they think language, they think Duolingo, which is just like you doing your little memorization. Ding, okay, I got another word right. Ding, okay, I'm done. 10 minutes later. Because ours is a virtual world, the community that we've fostered, where learners will take classes together in group classes, and they'll even host events like these learning game nights and trivia. There's so much here that I underestimated how powerful it would be from a human flourishing standpoint, but from a company or retention standpoint, the economics of how long people spend in Immerse and how many dollars they spend. We have a K-pop band that performs in Immerse weekly with fans.
What?
With fans.
That's awesome.
We had 2 or 3 birthday parties in Immerse last week. Where
That's incredible.
Learners are actually doing life together. They're building deep fellowship, and many of them have different. Sometimes there's elements for their social isolation that you and I wouldn't even think of. This is from years ago. There was a quadriplegic that was really involved. There was someone with a unique autoimmune issue that couldn't actually engage in community like you and I can. So all of a sudden, to
But-
build community in this virtual space is
Man.
just so sweet.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's amazing. You went back to the original vision. It was about like helping people build a relationship through communication. And that's so powerful. I mean, yes, it's a technology company. Yes, it's, financially like successful, but it's enabling communication and for people to build relationships. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what language is for. That's awesome. So if someone has listened to this podcast and they're like, man, Immerse sounds like the thing for me. I'd love to communicate with one of my in-laws a little bit better in language. I'd love to like learn English better so I can get a better job. And I love what you were talking about, like do better at the job I have because I can communicate with my coworkers, or get a better role because I can communicate better and not just click, 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 but I can actually do the soft skills piece better.
Yeah.
What do they do? Like, what's the opportunity?
Easy. I know. I love it. I'll do another like 3 answers really quickly. You'll notice I always have 3 thoughts. First one, I just had an investor that asked, hey, I want to sign up my entire family for Immerse. And I was like, great. It's actually incredibly easy. Immerse, in this case, it was an investor, so I just gave her like 20 licenses for free. But go to immerse.com, sign up immediately. There's a sign up button in the top right. It couldn't be easier. 14 days free, learn Spanish, French, Portuguese, English. That's the simplest one. Do that. You'll fall in love with it. The next one that, bro, you connected me, so you get credit for this. Kehi Distribution.
Okay.
They are a multi-billion-dollar supply chain company doing like primarily, I think, grocery distribution, 16 centers, 2,000 employees. They're signing up for Immerse as an enterprise buyer, starting with a couple hundred enterprise learners, and that can go up to like 1,000, which for us is a big contract. So if anyone listener has any kind of business that deals with either primarily like immigrant populations in the US or any cross-border business, that's our sweet spot. Last one, and this is what you and I chatted beforehand. I am unbashful and I'm always selling. We're going to fundraise in Q1. If you're interested, Quinn@immerse.com, or talk to Vip and his team, who Wes at Eagle is our board chairman and lead investor.
Awesome. Hey, can I comment on that real fast? So why would a company you've been talking for the last, 30 minutes on how successful you guys are, humbly, right? Like but the company's growing, it's expanding, it has all this opportunity. Why would a company like that fundraise another round?
Right. Yeah. Oh, totally. We have a healthy lead. Like we made bets early, like stressfully early. Our bets on AI and VR in 2016, 2017 were early. So therefore we have that first mover advantage. And it fleshes out in like really good kind of unit economics. Our users love us. We have product market fit. Our users stick around. The average user at Duolingo sticks around for 6 weeks. Our users stick around for almost a year on average, which means our power users have been here for 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
On the enterprise side, same thing. It's like our close rate is like 65%. We've got like these really compelling data points, but at the end of the day, in my 8 years, the last year and a half, the amount of fun, just the sheer amount of capital that's gone into AI is quite literally unfallible. Like unprecedented for sure.
So clearly you're raising capital because you see this new market opportunity in the enterprise piece, and you're investing in that opportunity. Yeah.
So what it tangibly means is for us to just bootstrap from here on out, where there are for the first time what I would consider lousy competitors raising $50 million rounds, it does become a bit of an arms race. And then on top of that, can we use an incremental $10 million really effectively? Heck yeah. Like what that tangibly means is our hiring roadmap. We're going to hire another 15 salespeople next year, if not more. We're going to hire
specifically in that enterprise sales
just in
side.
Enterprise because it's working. Nice. Because the close rate's high. It's a really healthy gross margin.
Well, how many industries have a lot of great people who still are struggling with their English? I think the home building industry and so many others like that. Totally. That if people can communicate better with their coworkers and boss, then it's just going to allow the company to be more successful.
Well, so it's awesome. Right now we have super tiny offices, one in Mexico City, one in Tokyo. That's how we do it. We actually have 2 to 3 salespeople in those locales. That's where you don't have to, in the US, you have to find the company that does any of the things that I'm describing. In Mexico, every company needs English. In Japan, every company. So you just pick up the like metaphorical yellow book and like just start calling. It's super easy. Everybody needs
So
it.
y'all's global footprint has gotten even bigger in the last year.
Totally. Well, so like what this next round actually means, maybe this would sound like, whoa, Quinn, this is audacious. Some of our competitors are trying to gobble up some of our business. We have big opportunity to expand just in Japan and Mexico, like I'm describing, but then use the Mexico office to scale across Spanish-speaking Latin America. The other, I'm actually having a little check. I wonder if this is in any way confidential. I think we're good. I'll just say it this way. There's a lot of opportunity in places like Europe, in places like Saudi Arabia, in places like India. So I'll just leave it there. And awesome. We are not going to wait around.
Very, very cool. No, I mean, from the very beginning, you guys have actively just gone after opportunities and are being willing to take bold risks. And so excited to see that go well for you guys so far, and look forward to hearing about how it goes well for you guys in the future. Thanks again for building this, for taking the time to be on the podcast. Love the impact you guys are having. You know, in this work, it's, you know, big business is a lot of the focus, but the individual lives that are being touched. And so thanks for sharing a few of those stories too. Appreciate the time, Quinn. I hope it's a good day, buddy.